And we are live. Hey guys, I'm Wolfie, and today we are going to talk about 49ers update with Brock Purdy and his contract situation. There's a new 49ers insider who has some insight, you could say, about the new situation that's happening with him, with Brock Purdy. I think it's interesting what he has to say. It's something I didn't think I actually see coming, to be honest. So I don't know if this is just some, opinion piece or if this is actually real news. I do think it's something that we should just look at and consider, and it could be a possibility. I'm not coming at it like, hey, this is gospel or anything like that, but I'm just letting you guys know what's currently happening with Brock Purdy's situation and what's being said right now. So don't be like, oh my God, this is happening. So come back to earth a little bit when we talk about it. And then we'll talk about another article from the same 49ers insider that has something to say about the draft coming up. Are we going to get an offensive lineman? Let's hear what he has to say. And we will dissect, get our opinion on it, how we feel about it. And then we'll talk about potentially talk about our backup quarterbacks and who should we go for, who should we not go for. We kind of already talked about it the previous live a little bit, but we'll just talk about it a little bit more, kind of get more into it. So and before we get into anything, you guys know, we're brought to you by water. Without it, I wouldn't be here today. I would not be alive right now without it. It is super important. It is the go-to drink for anyone. And I know there's people out there that's not drinking water, at least not even a cup a day. I know it. And this is not 7-Up, so I'm not cheating. Also, H2O, it's the way to go. All right, let's get to some of these comments. Papa J in the house. Good to see you. Good to see it. Val in the house. Good to see you. Good to see you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much for showing up and supporting the channel. Be sure to like the live if you haven't already. We're showing some love. That's what I like to see. Val has liked the live. Thank you so much. Let's go. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the big one. All right, and that is Brock Purdy's situation. How much money is he getting? Let me go ahead and try to bring up the screen. This is according. I'm sure you guys heard about it. If you guys follow Brad Graham and what he has to say, usually he's very quick with the news, and that's where I heard it from. And I had to go do some research on it. So let me go ahead and bring the article up so that way you guys can see it for yourselves instead of just telling you guys. You know what I mean? All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at it. This is about 49ers Insider sheds light on Brock Purdy's contract progress with an intriguing detail by David Bologna from Bonilla. I can't say it. I can't. But this is from Tim Kawame. I think what was this? Kawakami. I really have to get on board with some of these names, man. Kawakami. All right, so while specific details remain behind closed doors, one 49ers insider provided insights into the mood in Santa Clara, offering a reassurance for fans concerned about the situation. I heard from a plugged-in NFL source this week, which means someone around the office, that the 49ers and Purdy's camp are indeed feeling like there won't be fireworks on the way to an eventual deal. So I don't know really how to take something like a comment like that. Like, what do you mean there's not going to be fireworks? Is it, do you mean as in like it's not going to be like a last minute thing towards like training camp and then boom, it's going to happen kind of type deal? Or do you think it's going to break the bank kind of type deal? Like what exactly do you mean by that? And he says, but I've also heard generally that the framework might be a little different than some other recent QB deals. That's not saying anything about guarantee. It's just the framework might be a little bit different. From what I heard and what Brad Graham had to say is potentially that it might not be a 5-year, 6-year deal, that it might be like something like a 3 or a 4-year deal. I could see that being something that makes sense like that. And that would play into the factor of fireworks, because fireworks is like franchise, 5 years, this much money, something like that. So that could make sense what Brad Graham had to say. That's just a little weird. I think it's a little bit of a weird wording, because what do you exactly mean by that? And I'm sure and let you guys have your own opinions on what you feel about that. Most fans expect Purdy to secure a deal averaging around $50 million annually. I was thinking 58, found 59 making him not only one of the highest paid players in the NFL, but also the richest in franchise history. What does Kawakami mean by a little different framework? This is what he says. I suspect this means the 49ers could be pitching a shorter-term, lesser guaranteed deal compared to the full commitment deals signed by Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, and others over the last few years. Will Purdy and his agent be happy with that? Assuredly, there have been some negotiations. Nobody makes their best offer right off the bat. It might take time. That last comment there of saying it might take time is not something I like to hear. That is not something that I wanted this. I want this deal done by the end of February. And I understand that you don't make your best deal up front, right? But you kind of did that with Jimmy Garoppolo. You made it happen as fast as possible, Jimmy Garoppolo. This is not a wide receiver. This is not a tight end. This is not a offensive lineman. Okay, this is your quarterback, the most important position in the NFL. So when I hear it might take time, that's not what I want to hear. We cannot have a Dak Prescott situation. We cannot have this, okay? If it's long-term, short-term, fine, whatever. Just figure out the deal. So that way he can come into this offseason where we're set up perfectly. We cannot have a derailment on any level, especially as one as high as San Francisco, as the quarterback position. You cannot have it. So far, this offseason has been phenomenal. I don't want to hear it might take time. I need this now. I need this before free agency. There should be no excuse to why you guys haven't prepared yourself prior during the season. Maybe not full focused, but there was talks like, hey, this is how much we should pay. There should be a ground basis of where you're starting at. Okay, it should be like this is where we're officially starting. Let's take a look right now. That better not have been the case. So it does, and if it truly is like, hey, let's not do the Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert thing, I understand that because those contracts have been absolutely terrible. Those have not been good for other teams out there. So like 3-year deal helps you get out of it. However, Brock Purdy is not like those quarterbacks. Brock Purdy is relatively really reliable. He has gotten hurt a few times, but just like every other quarterback before Brock Purdy has gotten hurt, right? It's not just a Brock Purdy thing. It's because we don't have offensive linemen to protect our quarterback. You're bound to get injured if you constantly get hit the way you do. Not everyone's built like Josh Allen, okay? And Brock Purdy's not built that way. You need to protect your asset, especially someone you're going to pay a lot of money to. I don't like hearing this, and this just could be a negotiation tactic, putting it out there, hey, this is what we want. And the agent is up to the agent trying to kind of figure out to make up in the middle, because I did hear they kind of want a fair deal. And usually a fair deal means it kind of leans more towards like just a team-friendly deal when you say fair deal. But if it's not going to be this 5-year gigantic deal, I still would like to have this 3-year deal where he's satisfied, maybe a fully guaranteed contract for Brock Purdy, like a 3-year fully guaranteed contract, kind of like a Kirk Cousins-esque kind of contract that's just 3 years. I wouldn't mind that because it still wouldn't – it probably that guaranteed money still probably wouldn't equate to $195 or maybe $200 million. He'll probably get like $100 million guaranteed for 3 years or some shit like that. I don't know, maybe 120 or something. But again, it does sound like they are trying to go a little bit under $50 million, and they just want to make this short term. If you're saying it's not a firework deal. So I don't like this. I don't like, and it could just because of previous negotiations. It could be just because of previous situations where this is where I feel a little like, I don't know how I feel about this, man. Like I want this over and done. I don't want to hear it might take time. I really don't. You got the Jimmy Garoppolo done like that. And he ended up being the highest paid quarterback in the NFL in the end. At the time, it was a significant chunk of the cap, and you figured it out. You need to do this now. Brock Purdy is not Jimmy Garoppolo. He's better than him. All right? Not to mention, you could argue Brock Purdy deserves back pay at this point. Hearing that it might, oh my God, it doesn't, like I just feel like, oh my God, it's the butterflies and the worries in my chest, the anxiety of having to go through an entire offseason wondering what's happened with Brock Purdy. Oh, is he being traded? Is he going to hold out? That whole process is going to be magnified by 10. You thought Ayuk's situation was bad? Wait until there's a quarterback is involved with San Francisco 49ers. That is going to be magnified. it's going to be magnified by a million if Brock Purdy goes into March. The moment free agency starts, the moment that starts, the new year starts, and if Brock Purdy is not officially signed by then, the talks are going to fly. There's going to be constant conversations. There's going to be constant opinions. And I mean opinion pieces of, oh, he's going to be traded. Oh, I heard he's going to be traded. In my opinion, this is what, and you're just going to constantly hear people's opinions of what's going to happen. And then somehow the opinion turns into fact. That's what's going to happen. That's how word of mouth works. That's how the game of telephone works. The moment the new year starts and Brock Purdy is not our franchise quarterback, or if he's not solidified as our quarterback, prepare yourselves for winter, y'all. Prepare yourselves for the constant bullshit. Prepare yourselves from, and I don't mean this is a shot because they cover the 49ers. Prepare yourselves from 49ers Chat Sports, Larry Krueger, Brad Graham, Grant Coneven, David Lombardi. You're going to hear nothing but, oh, I heard this, and so this is automatically fact. This guy gave his opinion, so that must be fact. You're going to hear it on a daily fucking basis. You thought Ayuk's situation was bad. This is going to be tenfold. Tenfold. If you're going to give him a fair deal, if you're going to give him a contract that's not fireworks, fucking figure it out that meets them halfway with the agent. We cannot do this. We cannot have it. You figured it out with Jimmy Garoppolo. You need to figure it out now. It's the one thing you need to figure out. Literally, there's nothing else left. Okay? There's nothing else left that can create more anxiety, that can create more tension than right now. That is not signing your quarterback by free agency. I predicted by the Super Bowl, and that doesn't look like it's going to happen. So I was wrong about that prediction. But I'm saying this right now. Greenlaw is not as important. The extension for Fred Warner is not nearly as important. Kittle, none of that. None of that is nearly as important as Brock Purdy right now. And hearing that it might take time is fucking bullshit. Pay the man. Give him his money. Yes, he immediately has the leverage. Well, guess what? That's what happens when you have a fucking quarterback. When you have a starting franchise quarterback, they get the leverage when it comes to extension time. That's what happens. Deal with it. Sign him. I don't want a stupid fucking, I don't want this. I don't want this drama, man. I'd much rather deal with the drama of like, oh, you should have signed Dre Greenlaw. You should have done that. Much rather hear that. Much rather hear that. Fred Warner, I'm not worried about extending Fred Warner. I'm not worried about an extension of George Kittle. I'm not worried about them holding out because I know for a fact this team is going to extend them. I know for a fact that's going to happen. And that's probably not going to happen until July or June. Brock Purdy's situation needs to happen now. So whatever it is that's holding you back to make you second guess, I understand your first offer. That's where it starts. But the last sentence you say is it might take time. No, it should not take time. You have until free agency, the start of the new fucking year, to figure it the fuck out. Heck, it can even be trading Brock Purdy at that point. And I don't want that to happen. I really don't want that to happen. But it could be that. You cannot have any QB drama starting new year. You either pay him by then or you fucking trade him. You cannot have this because if it goes into the season, it's going to infect the fucking team. It's going to ruin the team. It is the quarterback, dude. This isn't Detroit, man. It's the Super Bowl. Kind of fucking ass response. All right. So that's how I feel about it. Like if you're going, you need to just figure it out. You need to just figure it out. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump into the questions. Comments, not questions, but let's go ahead and get into it. You're awesome. Hey, we're showing some love. How's everything going this Thursday? I think he's implying it won't be contentious. I hope not. I hope it's just to figure it out, but I just don't like hearing it might take time. That's the problem I have. Strawberry in the house. I was showing some love. That's what I see. Michael in the house. And everybody in the YouTube channel. Hope everyone's having a great Thursday. It's fucking phenomenal right now. Purdy better get a nice money bag now before we are screwed without him paying to sit out. Yeah, it's good. If you guys thought, and I said this like 4 times already, but if you thought Ayuk's situation was bad, wait until we get to the quarterback. People are going to be like, just trade him. People are going to be like, I heard that he's going to get traded here for this pick, that pick, this player. And then it's going to be fucking wild. Spartan in the house. He's back. Hot Spartans back again. Yeah, so some people want to protest the Super Bowl because of the refs. I'm not watching the Super Bowl not because of the refs, but things are going to get out of hand in the media if we don't get it done sooner rather than exactly. It's going to get fucking crazy. $300 million guaranteed, or 3 or 180 million to one guaranteed, in my opinion. Now that's a little too much, because that's like $60 million guaranteed a year. You might as well just give him a 5-year contract at that point. So I wouldn't do that. I'd say like somewhere around like 100 million to like maybe like 100 million to 123-year guaranteed deal. I would do something like that. Got to pay him as soon as possible. I do agree, but we do agree, Papa, on the as soon as possible thing. So nobody in the fan base wants any other Messi contract. Nobody want to get done. You said it right. Trade him. Nope, we're not going to trade him. We're not going to trade the quarterback that's better than Jalen Hurts. Can't do it. Spartan, great one. Yo, showing some love. That's what I like to see. Let's go. So that's how I feel about the situation. It needs to get done as soon as possible. We need to keep him, sign him. But if you don't keep him and you trade him in the end, you got to do it before free agency. We cannot have this bullshit floating around, because then players are constantly be questioned. Coaches are constantly be questioned. And it also will tell the story, the narrative, that you did not try to work this out before. Like, this is something the 49ers should have thought about in the offseason of last year. And then at moments, I'm not saying it should have been the full-on focus throughout the season, right? Like, just John Lynch's main focus. Obviously, because he got a contract done with John McDormand-Lenore. But there had to have been like little breadcrumbs of, okay, we're going to do this when this happens. We're going to do this when this happens. We're going to have a day conversation about it here and there, and then accumulate a conversation of what you want to pay Brock Purdy. There is no fucking way in any fucking world should you have started conversations or even thought about it at this point. But we don't know that. This is just an assumption, by the way. I'm just saying, if that was the case, if that turns out to be the case, and I feel like that would be the case if this leaks all the way into July. If this goes all the way until July or August, they just started this year. They had to have. And that's bullshit. That is absolute bullshit. So that's how I feel about the Brock Purdy situation. Let me know what you guys think. I could just be reacting to it really intensely, but I just want you guys to feel exactly how I feel about this situation. I want you to know the urgency that I feel about this situation. Not in a sense of like I'm panicking and like, we're not going to get it done. No, I don't mean it like that. I'm just trying to convey the seriousness of the situation, right? The opinion pieces haven't started yet. They're going to get there. The opinion pieces that somehow turn into fact are going to start rolling in. It's going to happen. And I just don't want that happening. I cannot do it. Some of these I'm not insulting 49ers content creators, because their job is to report things as they hear it, right? You want to hear the news all the time, but you're constantly going to hear news 24/7. No, hell no, dude. Sanders is not even a first round quarterback, first of all. And the first option is definitely not trade Brock. Brock is the man. Do you think we will have enough money to get Flacco? Yeah, of course. I don't think he's going to ask for a lot of money. You know, I like Flacco. I like the idea of it, but I wouldn't force the issue of getting Flacco. I certainly would not. I wouldn't force the issue at all getting a backup quarterback. Get a guy for a vet minimum under $5 million, somewhere around there. You don't need to spend more than $5 million on a backup quarterback. And if Flacco turns out to be outside of our range, I'm totally fine with it. So totally fine with that. So I guess we need to jump into the backup quarterback situation. Fortnite Brian in the house. Let's just go ahead and do it. Infinite wants to talk about it. So does Papa J. He says Mac Jones. No, you cannot get quarterbacks that are Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins. You cannot get those quarterbacks because those quarterbacks are going to instantly become a conversation throughout the entire offseason. And especially if Brock Purdy's not signed. Did Kyle Shanahan bring in these guys to replace them? And then you're also going to hear, like during training camp, you got to play this guy. They're setting it up to trade Brock Purdy and to have Kirk Cousins be the quarterback. And that's all you're going to hear when it comes to Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and even Kirk Cousins. You cannot sign those guys. You have to sign bona fide backups, and you have to sign or draft one. Tanner Mordecai is our second quarterback as of right now. And I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with Tanner Mordecai being our backup quarterback. We don't even have to pick up a backup quarterback at that point. I like Tanner Mordecai. He has a year under the system. I've heard nothing but great things about him. He's a chance to prove himself. But I wouldn't mind bringing in a vet for 1 year during the offseason to challenge Tanner Mordecai for that backup role. That I wouldn't mind seeing. But I wouldn't break the bank for a backup quarterback, especially when you are trying to sign Brock Purdy already to a massive contract. You're already putting too much money into a quarterback already, and you already invested in Tanner Mordecai for a year as well. I would possibly try to bring back Dobbs or even Brandon Allen as a backup under a vet minimum if you could, because I can't imagine those two players being demanding a lot of money. Right, I'd much rather see those back than us break the bank for Joe Flacco. So you don't trade a QB who's worth a first-round pick, especially when he's 25. Exactly, I would not trade. I wouldn't trade him. My argument is, like, if you're going to do something, do it, because then all the conversation is just going to be in the offseason is, he's going to get traded, he's going to get traded, and it's like, just you need to figure it out. So Dobbs is a quality backup. If we can get him back, that's cool. If not, oh well, exactly. I would like to have him back. I like his energy. He seems like a team player. He fights for yards. He fights for the W. He puts in the effort. I actually like Dobbs significantly more than Brandon Allen. I mean, significantly more. For his best backup QB, they should go after Carson Wentz, Tyler Taylor, Dobbs, or Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones could cause a controversy and probably will be more expensive than expected. I probably would say more than $5 million, and I don't want to spend more than $5 million on Daniel Jones. I got a feeling someone's going to bring in Daniel Jones. The Vikings might re-sign Daniel Jones just to bring in the competition for J.J. McCarthy, let Darnold walk, and then pay Daniel Jones like $10 million. Someone's going to give Daniel Jones $10 million. Watch, for sure. Dobbs, I can see coming in. Tyrod Taylor, he's a vet. I wouldn't mind bringing him. Carson Wentz, I do not want to see Carson Wentz. I really don't want to see Carson Wentz. I'm so fucking tired of Carson Wentz. That dude needs to retire. He needs to go. And when he played backup for the Kansas City Chiefs this previous year in Week 18, man, he was fucking atrocious. Okay. And it doesn't get worse for the Kansas City Chiefs if you're playing backup. Like, you got it. Like, Chad Henne played pretty good as a backup. Carson Wentz played absolutely terrible. I think Carson Wentz would be the worst option on Tyrod Taylor, Dobbs, and Daniel Jones for sure. So I would not pick up Carson Wentz. I'm not feeling Carson Wentz at all. So, all right. So those are the backup quarterbacks. Infinite says CJ Beathard reunion. Maybe as a camp body, I'd probably bring him in. I don't even think he's a quality backup. I actually don't think he's that good. I wouldn't even bring him in, to be honest with you. I just don't believe in him. So I don't think he could do it. I just don't think he can do it. Dobbs was cheeks, fire Mordecai. I don't think Dobbs is that bad. Dobbs actually performed significantly better than Brandon Allen, in my opinion. I wouldn't say cheeks. We're talking about backup. But I do like the idea of firing up Mordecai and giving him an opportunity. But you cannot just – you need to bring in a vet, though. You have to bring in a vet that challenges Tanner Mordecai. You can't be like, okay, he had 1 year in the system. Let him just be our backup. You can't do that. You need to bring in a vet that can challenge him, even if it's not that good of one. Heck, if you're going to – CJ Beathard, like Infinite says, like, I guess if you want to bring in CJ Beathard to challenge him, if you want to bring in Carson Wentz, Tyler Taylor, Dobbs, or Daniel Jones, a backup quarterback somewhere under $5 million to challenge him, Taylor or Heineke, anyone, you have to bring in a vet because you need to set a goalpost. You need to set a standard for the backup quarterback because at that point, Tanner Mordecai is not going to feel challenged. He's not going to feel forced to have to work for his job, and you need to do that. So I'm all for Tanner Mordecai being fired up, but we got to bring in a vet to challenge him. Got to do it because he's not playing for Brock Purdy's job. He sure as hell won't be playing for Brock Purdy's job. So, I do think that you need to bring in a vet. And if we bring in Joe Flacco, hopefully we get him for under $5 million. If we get him for $5 million exactly, then I'm fine with that. That's about closest I'll get to that. I don't think you should overspend for a quarterback that would just challenge Tanner Mordecai. Then you end up just cutting him. Kind of like with what's his name? I can't think of his name on top of my head. The guy we had, and then we cut him. He made like $3 million off of us. And it was like $3 million cap hit. I don't want to see that. So if you pay $5 million, it's got to be someone solidified like Joe Flacco, who will most likely be QB2. So sign ex-Tennessee QB Tannehill. I like that idea. He's a good backup. I think he'd be a good backup situation. I don't know. Was he a backup this year on a team? I don't know. I don't think he was. But, yeah, I do think he's a good backup. I don't think he's that bit of a problem. I don't think he's a starting quarterback. I don't think he would challenge Brock Purdy for the job. I don't think it would cause any controversy. So I'm all for Tannehill being picked up. That's a good idea, Michael. That's actually a pretty good one. I can't imagine him asking for a lot of money either, too. So, all right. So let's go ahead and jump into the next thing, which is talking about the draft. All right. This is going to be some draft news. This is the same guy, Tim Kawakami. I don't know why I have a problem with that name. I have a problem with this dude's name. Kawakami. That's his fucking name. This is another article based on this guy's insight as well. He's a 49ers insider. So this could be just an opinion piece. And I believe it is just an opinion piece, but I thought it'd be interesting just to hear what he has to say. Again, this is an opinion piece, not a fact, by the way. This is just an opinion piece. So don't freak out and say this is exactly what the 49ers are going to do in the draft. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Sorry, I drink some coffee. Not that one right here. Okay, so this is about the 49ers draft situation, who they should get. Okay, and we'll try to bring it down, blah, 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 blah. And we'll start here. While drafting offensive linemen may not be the most exciting move, many fans will welcome the 49ers addressing this often overlooked unit. I agree. It's not fancy. It's not a D end, right? It's not a wide receiver. It's not some crazy ass corner or free safety, where you look at it, it's like explosive plays, but it's underappreciated for sure. Often overlooked. I definitely agree with that. That could happen, however, but only under specific circumstances. If a top-tier talent like LSU's Will Campbell unexpectedly falls, prompting the 49ers to trade up, or if the team views Texas Calvin Banks as an immediate impact starter, Lynch and Shanahan might consider making the move. I don't like Calvin Banks. I'm throwing this out there now, guys. If we get Calvin Banks, it's one of those things where if we kept Brandon Staley, I would have been open-minded. If we draft Calvin Banks, I'll be open-minded. I'll be like, okay, gotta trust the process. They think he'll work in this game. Let's just roll with it. They think he's the best guy available at number 11. However, I don't even think he's the top 5 best tackle in this draft. I really don't. I do not believe in Calvin Banks whatsoever. I watch him play, looked at everything, not a fan. Will Campbell, I like Will Campbell. I do think he's a starter day one. However, he's a guard. He's more of a guard than he is a tackle. They actually expect him to move from tackle to guard. And we need a tackle if we're going to draft 111 because there's going to be guards later on in the first round. Like you could probably trade up from the second into later first if you wanted to get a guard. Second round, there's going to be guard. Third round, there's going to be guard. You can do that. You can address it then. And I don't think taking Will Campbell at that point is worth it. So I don't like those picks anyway. However, if neither scenario plays out, Kawakami had bad news for those hoping the 49ers will take the best available offensive lineman at 11. This is the bad news. But more likely, the 49ers will go with their basic plan. Take somebody who can rush the passer or score touchdowns, one or the other. And the likeliest position for number 11 in this draft seems like it'll be D tackle. I don't like hearing that because the only way that you would take a D tackle at 11, there's only one D tackle at 11 that's even worth taking a chance on because this draft just doesn't have very good D tackles. This is not a very good D tackle draft. I'd much rather see them address it in free agency because there's a few of them that you can get that's not going to cost you a lot of money. And I'm going to make a video on that later. But the only one that's worth taking at 11 at this point is Mason Graham if he falls to you. And we have seen great players fall to around 10 to 11 to 12. We've seen it happen. It happened to Parsons, for example. So Mason Graham could fall, and if we took him at 11, I wouldn't hate it. I'm not as high on Mason Graham as other people are, but I would take that potential. And from what I hear about him, what he can do, I wouldn't mind it at 11, right? But outside of that, Walter Nolan is not worth 11th overall pick. There is no other D tackle worth the 11th overall pick. So if we go D tackle at 11th overall, I will be disappointed. If we go pass rusher, I'll be ecstatic. It depends upon the pass rusher, but there are a lot of pass rushers in the draft that you can actually find later in the second and third round as well, right? But you only have so many second and third round picks that I think that you should just take the top tier one at 11 because the 11th overall pick should be way more addressed to position of need, right? And most important valued position like quarterback, D end, and tackle. Those are three top most important positions. Everyone mostly agrees with that. Some people say corners in there too, but those are top three positions. And we need a D end. That's a need at that. So I think we should get the best one that we love the most in that situation. And the top five pass rushers I like, I would not mind trading up for a dual Carter if he falls to like the 6th or 7th pick. Give up next year's first for it because I expect that to be a later first round pick. He'd be worth it. Put him on the other side of Nick Bosa. Unbelievable. I would love to see something like a first round pick this year, first round pick next year, trade up, get Abdul Carter. I'm all for it. Prince Anuma, I think it's Amuna Mellon. I can't really pronounce his name. I completely fucked it up. Princely, he's from Ole Miss. Absolute stud pass rusher. Absolute stud. I fucking love that pass rusher. Some people have him moving on to the second, but I have a feeling he's going to get a lot more hyped up and he's going to move into the first round, possibly in the mid-teens at that point based on hype. Because if you watch him play, you watch that man play, dude, you're wondering how the fuck is he not talked about more. That dude's phenomenal. I love him a lot. Mikael Williams is a consensus first-round draft pick pass rusher as well. That's one of those guys you can't miss on. Mike Green, who's a huge riser right now, had a phenomenal senior day. Brad Graham spoke very highly of him. He was the guy who completely bulldozed Connerly, one of the a tackle that's considered a first-round draft pick, late first-round draft pick. Completely bulldozed him, right? I liked Mike Green from the start, and that senior day just kind of reinforced how I felt about Matt Green. And then if you missed out on a pass rusher, you could probably get Jack Sawyer at the start of the second round, maybe late first round if you want to trade up at that point. There are some pass rushers you get, and I do think pass rushers should be the number one priority at that point if you don't love any of these tackles. My favorite tackle in the draft is Josh Simmons. However, Josh Simmons from Ohio State is dealing with a knee injury, and knee injuries are a big deal. It's not an ankle injury. It's not some bicep injury. It's his knee. And that can affect your entire – it affects everything how you play. That could be your career right there. And you're taking a gamble. And we've already taken a gamble on players with knee injuries like Kinlaw. We took advantage on Kinlaw and it didn't work out. We've used our ticket already. We used our injury-prone-esque or injured player draft guy already on Javon Kinlaw. We cannot do it again. As much as I love Josh Simmons is my favorite tackle in this draft. Dude's phenomenal. But we're not going to get him at 11. I don't think we should just because of that injury. If we got him, I'll be happy and ecstatic and be like, fuck that injury. Woohoo! But if I was the GM, I'd be like, okay, I can't do it because of this reason. If I did, I have to trade back and get him. So at 11, pass rusher. So I have no problem us not getting a tackle with that situation just because the tackle situation isn't very great in the first round. And that's kind of why I feel like Kelvin Banks kind of moved up in the first round was because of that, because there isn't that many great tackles in this draft. There are some moving up, by the way. There are tackles moving up as of right now based on hype and the Senior Bowl. Like, for example, Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. I liked him as well, but he was supposed to be like a second to third round draft pick, somewhere around there. After his senior day, he's now moving up boards. because not only can he play tackle, guys, he can play center. He can play center and tackle. So, and those are two important positions for us right now. We need those. I'm not for taking. It's not because he can play center is why I want to take him at 11, because we can get that later in the draft, right? But the fact that he can play both tackle, which is one of the most important positions, I love it. So based on hype, wherever he's end up supposed to go, that could change, right? Some people like Wyatt Millum from West Virginia. He's a good tackle as well. I like him as well, but I think he's great at everything. But I have noticed, and you guys can challenge me on this if you want, but I have noticed that Wyatt Millum does he tips plays like Trent Williams does, whether it's a run or pass. Like there's a whole thing, like you look at his feet, he tips plays. Millum does the same thing. I noticed that today. I was watching his film today because I want to get familiar with tackles and stuff. And I watched his feet. And if you watch his feet, he tells you if it's going to be a run or a pass. His left leg will be back a little bit more. If it's a pass, his left leg will be up a little bit more to the front if it's a run. Go watch his film, take that analysis, and see if you can guess if it's a run or pass every single time. And I guessed every single time if it was a run or pass. So, and if I'm able to figure that out, NFL defenses will be able to figure that out. So, I do like Wyatt. I do like him. But I don't think he's 11th pick either. So, pass rusher, I'm all for it. If we end up going pass rusher in this situation, I'm all for it. I don't think we should go for somebody who scores touchdowns. That is not a need. We do not need someone who scores touchdowns. We do not need somebody who's a wide receiver. We have two of them already. You're committed to two of them already. You got Cowling out there. You got Juwan Jennings. You don't need a wide receiver. You have two running backs as of now with a restricted free agent on Mason, so that's not a guarantee, but you have Isaac Rendon and CMC, right? You need to get somebody who can help open up holes or someone who can rush the passer at 11. Scoring touchdowns, we have the weapons. We just need the protection and the pass rush. Trenches. Either side is fine, as long as both are addressed from free agency to draft. Doesn't have to be tackle, doesn't have to be 11, but somewhere the second, third round pick, you got to pick at least a guard, hopefully a center. Doesn't have to be a tackle right now. I would prefer a tackle, but even Juan has pointed this out. A couple of people have pointed out that McKivitz next to Purdy has been okay. It's patchwork. And Trent Williams is coming back. So probably get a tackle in the fourth round if you have to, third round, but you got to get a guard center in the second or third round, maybe even fourth round because we got a few fourth round draft picks. But I do think that DN would probably be the best way to go at 11, considering the situation. Let's go ahead and finish what he has to say, and I'll get you guys' comments because I haven't seen them yet. The 49ers leaders believe that it usually costs too much to upgrade our offensive line for potentially marginal gains when larger investments in the defensive line and receiver position more often lead to giant results. So the 49ers almost always put their chips into positions other than O-line, and they believe their lower reviewed linemen into inexpensive but servable starters. I understand what they're talking about, like because you want to pay for the playmaking aspect of it, but they can't do this now, just especially considering you have those playmakers already. You have those playmakers who you have those larger investments already, right? You have Lenore, you have Green, you have the safeties going on, you have Fred, you have Nick Bosa. And then the only playmaker you're kind of technically missing right now is D-end. That's the only big playmaker you're kind of missing. Outside of that, it's rest of it's guard. So trenches. This year, and this sounds like to me he's just going off. This is an opinion piece, I feel like, and him just going off of what he's seen of the 49ers and what should be the pick at 11. I do agree it should be D-end because it's a position that gives you results, right? It's a position that where people look at those stats and count them. Offensive line isn't that way. So I'm all for getting a pass rusher at 11, right? And if we had a pass rusher, if we had if Drake Jackson was the answer, or if Leonard Floyd was actually as good as his 8.5 sacks says he was, I probably wouldn't be like, okay, let's just go 11 with pass rusher. But considering that there's no one there that's filling that spot, you got to get a guy. You got to get a young, great pass rusher at 11. That's what I think. And then after that, focus. Everything else becomes guard, center, and tackle. Because you got the playmakers, man. You got the running backs, you got the wide receiver. Get a backup tight end somewhere, maybe later on, maybe in free agency. It's not that huge of a priority. It is somewhat of a priority, but not that as big as O-line and trenches. So let's jump into some of these questions, and let's see what they have to say. Go all the way up. There's going. Brock signing, number 1. Dre Greenlaw, number 2. I agree. As a Jags fan, Mac is pretty underrated. He is a good backup quarterback, probably a back-end starter, like a bottom 5 starter. I wouldn't say. I would probably agree with something like that. Yo, Wolf, and it's Dan. Let's go. You don't trade a quarterback. We already got that far already. Dobbs is quality backup. Talk about gun, cheeks. Not an interior defensive lineman class this year. Exactly. I think you should focus on something like that next year. If Mason Graham doesn't fall to you, because Mason Graham is probably like the only exception, I think, when it comes to D tackle. I think he's the only one worth, because Walter Nolan is a early second to late first round draft pick, right? If you got him like at 28, like Larry had him projected originally, trading back so much and you got him there, I wouldn't complain, right? But this D tackle class is not great. It's actually a great D tackle class. I disagree, Strawberry. It's not that great. We'll have to agree to disagree there. Just based on what I've seen from D tackles this year, it goes from Mason Graham all the way to the early second round pick for D tackles. Mike Green is getting all the hype right now too, by the way. Yeah, I agree. Just talked about him. I like Mike Green a lot. I think he's a phenomenal pass rusher. I liked him a lot before senior day. I liked him a lot. He's generated a lot of stats. He looks phenomenal on the field. He's definitely probably worked his way up to a mid. He's probably like a mid first rounder at this point, maybe somewhere around like the 19 or 18 mark. He's really pushed himself up pretty high with the hype right now. I'm doing okay for us, Brian. Nikita and ear infections. Oh, that sucks ass. I hate ear infections. Those blow. But it is a guard, in my opinion. It is a guard. It's a guard, D end, wide receiver, tight end, running back draft class. Those are the top 5 positions I believe you find in these draft classes. There's a lot of running backs in this draft class that I love a lot. There's a lot of wide receivers in this draft class I like a lot, but it's just not that much of a need. There's a few tight ends you can draft. There's 3 of them that are top dogs that will most likely probably be there the back end of the first round to probably the second round, which are Tyler Warren, of course. Someone might trade up for Tyler Warren. That might actually happen. Fenton Jr. from Bowling Green is probably my favorite tight end. I like him more than Tyler Warren. Fenton Jr. is next level, insanely good. Go watch his highlights. The dude's fucking phenomenal. He's a crazy good tight end. I like him more than Tyler Warren. I know Brad Graham likes Tyler Warren more than Fenton Jr., but I just, when I look at him play, it's crazy. Loveland from Michigan State is fantastic too as well. He's really young. You can develop him from the start to finish. I think he's like 20 years old right now. He's going to be 21 by the time he starts. I like him as well. Those are the top 3 tight ends in this draft that I like, but they're probably going to get picked late first round, probably to the back end of this, to the front of the second round. That's probably when they're going to come off the board. Those tight ends. And tight ends not everyone's going to be Brock Bowers, where they're going to be someone you got to pick up 8th overall, wherever he got picked at by the Raiders, right? They're not Brock Bowers, right? But I do think that this is still like collectively their starters, if that makes sense, right? They're not going to be like offensive rookie of the year, break the rookie record catching kind of type tight ends, but they're going to be pretty good. Strawberry says, can he block? Is he a receiving tight end? He is a receiving tight end, mainly a receiving tight end. The grades that I hear from seeing from his blocking are actually up there with like, and I'm not saying it's on par of Tyler Warren, but it's in that tier almost based on the percentages from like Draft Buzz, PFF, etc. They give his blocking a pretty high grade, right? And I think I've seen like 1 or 2 reps of his blocking. It didn't look that bad. It didn't look like he was falling over or forcing the issue or anything like that, but those were minimum reps that I saw. Same thing with Tyler Warren. You could see a lot of his reps and stuff like that. But Tyler Warren is probably the better blocking tight end in this draft. But Fenton Jr. as a receiving tight end is better than Tyler Warren. He is better than Tyler Warren as a receiving tight end. And he can block. He's not going to be phenomenally blocking. He's not going to be an insane blocker. But his it's not that bad. I can't remember what grade they gave him, what percentage they gave him for his blocking, but it was actually not bad from what you consider Fenton Jr. Loveland, I didn't see a very good blocking grade for Loveland. I really got to do more research. I'm gonna do more research on tight ends. I haven't gotten to it yet, but so far the 3 tight ends I've fallen in love with are Fenton Jr., Taylor Warren, and Loveland from Michigan. Because the 49ers love their blocking tight ends. I agree. That's probably most likely why they probably go with Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren is probably going to be the guy because he can catch the ball and he can block, right? So that's probably what they're going to mainly go for. But I just think Fenton Jr. is fucking insane. You need to go watch him play, dude. Like, go watch his highlights. He's on a whole other level, man. He knows how to fool defenders in zone, man. He's twitchy. He knows how to escape. Like, the moment a defender lets eyes off of him, he's gone. He's gone. He's a big dude, too. He can catch 50-50 balls, one-handed catches. He's insanely good route running. The knock on him that some people don't – the reason why some people are not as high on him, though, and based on what you're seeing, is because he's from Bowling Green, which is not like a high-end school. So they're kind of like, okay, can he do that against, NFL talent? I think he can. You could just look at his twitch. He looks – when you see him play, he stands out. Even if you're paying attention to him, he pops off your screen. Like, he looks like a grown-ass man playing Little League. Truly. You can see it. And that's why I like him a lot. But tight end from Iowa is good. I have not checked him out yet. His name is Latchy. Usually tight ends from Iowa that's tight end U right there. And for college, that is tight end U, as we know. Kittle's from there. Hawkinson's from there. What's his other name? Laporta's from there. And there's another one that's also from there. I can't see the point of my head. There's 4 starting tight ends right now from Kittle. So those are the 4. There's Kittle, Laporta, Hawkinson, and I just said the other one. I can't see the thing in my head. But there's 4 starting tight ends right now from Iowa. That should tell you everything you need to know about tight end U. But once I get into more tight ends, I'll break down. You guys can look to it. But I just saw those top 3 guys that I like a lot. And if we end up with, and I want to put this out there, if we end up with either one of them, if we end up with either one of these 3 tight ends, I'll be happy. We end up with Loveland, Fenton, or Warren Jr., I'm not going to complain. They're good. They're day 1 starters, in my opinion. So, and the 2 tight end set you would have with George Kittle and this guy, and George Kittle would teach this dude Iowa, like you said. We know Iowa tight ends are taught to block exactly. George Kittle is going to show the tight ends how to block. It's what he does. He's going to bring that Iowa type of blocking to the guy, whoever we draft, especially if it turns out to be a 2nd-round pick or 1st-round pick. I could see Kittle doing that. So Stanford has a great tight end. So far I heard what you got. I'll write these down. I'll write these down, guys. So you got what? We got Lackey from Iowa. I'll take a look at him. And then Stanford tight end. I'll just type in Stanford tight end. All right. And then I'll take a look at those guys. If you guys are recommending them, I'll definitely take them out. Because I'm trying to watch a lot of film. And I'm right. I have a shit ton of papers on fucking draft prospects. So I've been doing some research and shit, guys. So I'm trying. And then as we get closer to free agency and the draft as well, guys, I'm gonna put out more videos. It's gonna be a lot more consistent and stuff like that. It's just that we're still in the Super Bowl phase, right? We haven't seen the combine yet. We haven't heard. We're just now getting hype from the Senior Bowl of players such as Mike Green and Gray Zabel, right? There's still more things that need to come out, so that way, we'll get more of an idea. But yeah, we'll definitely jump into that. So that is everything that we talked about today. So far, we talked about backup tight ends. We talked about things we should get in the draft. Number one thing, in my opinion, should be D-end. I know I said beginning of the year we need to go O-line, but the more I look at it, the O-line that I wanted was tackle. So unless a tackle that I like that is right now a second-round pick or a third-round pick moves up draft boards from what we hear based on hype, if they move up into the first round where it's like, oh, this guy is definitely a top 10 pick now, this guy give him 11, I would be on board with it then, because that's how the draft works. You got to get your guy. Will this guy last here? Will this guy fall here? You got to do that way. So if a guy I love that I think will be a steal at late first round, second round pick, moves up draft boards all the way up to 11, we get him, that's fine. But as of right now, there is no left tackle or tackle in general that I absolutely love at 11. There are DNs. There are literally four DNs, 4 defensive ends I would love at 11. I would be perfectly fine with. And it's not James Pierce Jr. I don't know. I don't understand that. I like James Pierce Jr. I really do, from Tennessee, but I don't think he's better than these guys. I don't even think he's better than Jack Sawyer from Ohio State. I like James Pierce, but that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is a DN draft. There are 6 of them that I like. But I think James Pierce is my 6th pass rusher in this draft. So I didn't like a lot of these mock drafts we had of players. I didn't like I recently made a video with Poggy going through all the mock drafts that we hear around the NFL of players that we're supposedly going to get. One of them was Calvin Banks. I did not like it. I do not like him. I do not trust him. That's just me, though. One of them was Josh Simmons. I love the idea, but he does have a knee injury, which is a big deal. One of them was Shamir Stewart from Matt Miyoko. Absolutely terrible. That is the worst thing you could possibly do is draft that guy at 11. He's like a 3rd or 4th round draft pick to me. That's what he is. Jalen Walker, Poggy's not a fan of him. Some people say he's slow, which that's not what I see on film. I see a relatively fast guy on film when it comes to Jalen Walker, who's the Buckets winner this previous year. I know that Larry Kruger's a big fan of him. I'm a big fan of him. I like his potential, but some people are a little worried about his size. Was it because of Georgia that he was able to take advantage of one-on-ones, et cetera, right? And he was more of a pass rushing linebacker than he was an actual linebacker. He took more reps as a pass rusher than a linebacker. So I do kind of like that, but at 6'2", 245, if he gained about 15 pounds at 6'2", kind of Leonard Floyd-esque, I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't be against it. But then again, like I said, you're kind of taking a chance on him if you were to get him at 11. I don't like him at 11. So the best one that, based on mock drafts that people talk about, I don't mind. I honestly do not mind Armand Mbembu. I like him a lot. Poggy doesn't think he could be a right tackle. I think he can. He doesn't. He has 33-inch arms. Well, I've heard he's got 33-inch arms. I've also read that he's got 34 and a half-inch arms. So we'll see if he has that 34.5-inch arm length, he can play right tackle. He can do it. He may be 6'3", but he can do it. We're not going to know that until the combine, of course. But if he's got 64.5 in arms, or if it comes out that he does, he can do it. But apparently he also plays guard. And I don't think we should take a guard at 11. Will Campbell, guard. So I don't like any of these picks that so far has been mocked to the 49ers. The best one has been James Pierce, and I don't even think he's the best pass rusher. So Cohen posted a video that the 49ers are expected to offer Brock $40.5 million a year, so it starts. Yes, indeed, it starts. And we got to finish it as soon as possible. If it's $48.5 million, that is under the $50 million that was obviously spoke about in that opinion piece from Tim Kwame. Could be opinion piece, could be reality, but $48 million, I'll take it. I'm happy with $48.5 million. I'm fine with that. If he got $58 million, I'd be fine with that too. If he got 59, heck, if he got 61, I wouldn't care. Just get it done. That's my concern, right? It's not the number at this point is not my concern. It really isn't. And the reason why that is because we paid Jimmy Garoppolo the most money in the we paid at the time when we paid Jimmy Garoppolo, I believe in 2018, he got the most money in the entire NFL. He had the biggest cap hit in the entire NFL. And we were still able to, after 2018, have a Super Bowl team in 2019. And I think we could do the same thing, especially with how much some of these quarterbacks are going to want extensions and make $61 million look like $48.5 million by the end of this offseason. That could very well happen. So, and there is a limit, like 65 seems like a bit much, but you got to draw the line somewhere. If it's 61, I'm fine with it. If it's 48.5, I'm fine with it. Just get it done. Right? You have the pieces for the future, right? You have the pieces for the future. You have rookie and Pearsall. You already signed Ayuk. So your wide receivers are set, right? If you were to get another tight end, he'd be a rookie. So you're fine there. George Kittle might get an extension, but it wouldn't be much more money than he's already on the cap. Running back wise, you've already extended CMC, and you got Isaac Guerrero as a running back. So everything that you do from here on out, the only one that really affects the offensive side of the ball is Brock Purdy. So you're set there. You don't need to resign anyone. Everything's fine. Defensive side of the ball, you draft a D end, get an affordable D tackle, draft a cornerback, boom, you're solid. This team is in perfect position to sign Brock Purdy really soon. This is the year to do it. They set themselves up to do it this year really well. They had an amazing draft last year where they're starters. Pooney's a starter. Green's a starter. Pearsall is looking like a starter. Mustafa is a starter. That's 4. There's someone else I'm missing. Isaac Guerrero looks like an absolute stud. It's 5. Evan Anderson looks like a second or third D tackle at this point. That's 6. This 49ers team just needs one more solid draft, pick up 1 or 2 starters, sign Brock Purdy. You're fine. It's not like we're going to be missing starter positions everywhere else on our own team. It's not like you have to sign Brock Purdy, but if you sign Brock Purdy, you have to make a sacrifice here. There's very little chance of that actually being the case. The only questionable spots right now are literally D end. You need to get starting D end there. A third cornerback, a backup linebacker, an offensive lineman, and a backup tight end. So starter-wise, you got D end, the outside corner, and a free safety, I guess you could argue free safety. That's 3 positions. And a guard, so that's 4. So if you nail this draft, all you have to do is get 4 starting caliber players and then pick up 1 solid guy in free agency, or a couple of them. They're not going to break the bank. You are fucking in perfect position to sign Brock Purdy. So, yeah. So I just don't. I think this team is in a fantastic position. Jason in the house. Good to see you. I think Brock's agent takes 40. I don't think Brock's agent takes $48.5 million. I don't think so either. But what I've heard, this is just rumor and it's just opinion. He wants a fair deal. And a fair deal to me is somewhere between $55 and $60 million. So I think the contract is going to be about $59 million. That's what I have. That's what I think is going to happen. Exactly. Just need on draft picks, and not that many. It's not like they have to repeat what they did last year. They just need 4 starting. They just need to fill 4 starting positions, and they're back where they're at in 2023, if not better. So they just need to nail 1 free agent, right? And that's very possible. You can get a free agent and him not be unrated signing, or he's technically a starter on the line. You could do that and not cost you a lot of money. You just need to nail like 2 or 3 of these draft picks out of 10. You have 10 draft picks, and the 49ers are known for at least nailing like 4 or 5 of them. They nail a shit ton of them. They're very good in the draft. They just need to nail like 2 or 3, and they're fine. So this 49ers team is set up perfectly for an excellent year. Excellent start to the year. Nail 2, 3 of your draft picks, wherever those positions may be. Draft 1 solid free agent. You're good. The rest could get better. Obviously, I'm not saying like it stops there. Like you could nail 5 or 6 of the draft picks. You could sign 4 or 5 free agents, and all of them could turn out to be great, which is even better, right? We like that. But what I'm trying to say is the bare minimum is doable. The bare minimum for the 49ers is very doable. Nailing those draft picks and nailing 1 free agent. It's not impossible. It's not like other teams where they have like 6 or 7 starting positions they need to fill, right? This team is solid. 49ers have a great scouting team. Exactly. That's a credit to John Lynch. John Lynch is a phenomenal GM. He is a phenomenal drafter. He listens to his scouts. He knows what his scouts are saying. And he takes them apart and says, okay, well, this guy is best then. This guy is best then. This guy is best then. And it works out most of the time. Most of the time. Because obviously first-round draft picks have been a little shaky. But outside, this team would be significantly worse, by the way, if this team did not nail third-round draft picks, fourth-round draft picks, fifth-round draft picks, sixth-round draft picks, seventh-round draft picks. That is hard to do. That is not easy to do. Some people shake it like, oh, they suck at first-round draft picks, but they make up for it by finding starters in third and fourth and fifth and sixth and seventh round picks. So, it sucks you're missing on first-round draft picks, but you're kind of making up for it later on in the draft because usually it's the other way around. Usually your first-round, second-round pick is usually most likely works out, and then everything else sucks ass. But for John Lynch and his squad, he's able to make up for those losses in the first round. If they do the same thing, if they have a 2024 draft again, where Pearsall, Green, Purdy, Mustafa, etc. Oh my God, look out, guys. Look the fuck out. This team's going to be great for years to come. Not just 1 year, not just 2, but 3 to 4 solid years for sure. Guaranteed. So it's super important, and all you need is like 2 or 3 of them. So, all right, that is everything, guys. The Sports Machine in the house. It's been 1 hour, and thank you guys so much. You guys make this live what it is, and it was awesome. Appreciate you guys. Papa J, the best mod in the house. Good to see you. Good to see you, man. The Sports Machine, thank you so much. I know you got here late, but hey, still good to see you. Strawberry, thank you so much for being part of this live. I didn't know about the $40.5 million from Grant Coe and stuff like that. If we get that, that's fine. But you're right. It's beginning. Here it begins. The opinion pieces turn into fact. Here we go. Michael, thank you so much for joining. Jason, that is Jason Cat. Check out this guy's content, by the way. He's a 49ers content creator. Very good guy. You know, he goes live with 49ers media. Solid dude. Check him out. I just realized who that was. My bad. Michael, thank you so much for being part of this. Who else do we got in here? Val, of course. OG in the house. She's always shows up. Make sure you likes live. She's a good fam. Infinite Edits, thank you so much, Milwaukee, for joining the live. 49ers Brian, it's good to see you as well. Spartan, appreciate you as always. And then who else do we got up in here? I don't want to miss anyone. Great one, even though I disagree and I don't think you're a 49ers fan. I still appreciate you joining the live, supporting the channel 110%. Who else we got? That's everyone. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. You guys make all of this like surreal. All right. And I know I keep saying this at the end of every single live, but I'm never going to stop because this has been one of the most biggest blessings of my entire life. This channel has been a blessing from start to finish. Start until now. Not finished because it's not over yet. But one day it might be. But as of right now, it's not. And it's been quite the journey. It's been just I look forward to these times. I look forward to these lives. I look forward to making videos. I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. I look forward to saying, in the house. You guys make it what it is, man. I have 3,700 subscribers, 3,700 more I ever thought I would get. I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys so much. To everyone else who watched this later, sub. If you haven't subbed already, you're part of the wolf pack. You're part of the family. You're part of the den, as 49ers Brian said. All right? You could be part of this. All right? And I usually try to give shout outs to everybody who joins lives. Like the live, because that way this video goes out. The love is spread. Everyone out there can see the great conversations that we're having, and we grow together. Because like I keep saying, this is nothing without you. This is a ride, and you guys are the wheels. 110%. All right? And of course, every single like makes my 49ers heart grow from here to here. All of fam, I'll see you next video. Bang, bang, not a